And we're on. Go ahead, man. All you.
All right, thanks, Seth. Guys, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and I don't know if I'll see it, Hath, but if you see it, a question come up, go ahead and fire it at me, okay? I'm going to talk
If I
about
see something, I'll pop on and ask it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so I'm going to talk about how we defend spread runs. Let me just give you a little bit of our philosophy first. As far as players, we talk constantly with our guys about doing your job. Everybody has a job to do on defense. We're going to be an assignment type of defense. Everybody has a role. I think that we want to teach this, and we want to make sure that everybody understands their role first, and then how they kind of fit into the puzzle of our entire defense. You guys know that when you coach high school guys, they're not the most trusting individuals in the world. And so they need to trust their teammates. They need to know what the jobs of their teammates are. They need to know how everything fits together in the defense. They need to know this, because if you get a big play hit on you in a game, players need to know that it just one guy made a mistake. He'll fix it, and we'll be okay as the game goes along. I'm going to show you a clip in our state game. That was Stone Academy's first touchdown run. Our outside backer to the boundary side makes a bad play, and everybody else was in position, and he makes a bad play. He came off to the sideline, said it was on me. It was on me. Everybody trusted this kid to begin with, and then they know that next time he's going to do his job, and our defense will be fine. We have guys, like Zach Maturo. Everybody knows what an incredible player he was. I mean, Zach's going to try to cover up for anybody that he doesn't think or he doesn't trust is going to do his job. It's probably his worst play all year. He's trying to cover up for someone that isn't getting out to the bubble screen against Oxford Hills, and Oxford Hills throws a play action pass on him, and he's supposed to be in man-to-man coverage, and he's trying to cover up someone else's job for them, and he's not there on his man, and OH has a touchdown pass. And that's the only time he got beat all year long. And so we want to teach what everybody's job is. We want to teach how everybody fits together in the puzzle, and that if someone makes a mistake, then you don't have to go outside your job. We just got to make sure that everybody does his, and we'll be fine. We talked to our guys about being relentless. If anybody watched my talk with Hath on game planning, I mentioned how we will grade our tape for effort. We'll grade our tape. If anybody's loafing, if anybody's not going hard to the whistle, we will grade that up, and kids will know when the coaches think they're not going full out to the whistle. We'll grade on the offense side of the ball. We'll grade receivers if they don't stock block. We're grading it. It's a loaf. If someone's not hustling the ball, it's a loaf. If someone's not working for the entire time of the play, we're going to grade that out, and kids are going to know about it. So we want to be relentless as a football team, and I think you'll see that on some of the video clips that I'm going to have later on. We're going to get after the football. We mention every time we watch a film, we mention every time there's a chance to rip the ball up. This is not a natural act, I don't think, for high school kids. You see college guys and pro guys, they get after the ball all the time. They're more used to it. They're a little bit better athletes, so they feel a little more comfortable being able to make a tackle, say, and try to strip the ball. High school guys don't always feel like that. And so you got to let them know that we want you to strip the ball whenever possible. We talk about it during practice when we're on a team. When can you get the ball out? We need to get after the football. We're going to tackle with authority. We practice tackling once a week. We do a 10-minute tackle circuit, but we do not tackle bodies. I've gotten away from that. I listened to Buddy Tevens, who was my college coach, speak a couple springs ago, talking about practicing like pros. We don't tackle each other. We don't bring another Bonny Eagle kid to the ground at all, ever, in a football practice at Bonny Eagle. But what we do, we'll hit bags, we'll hit the tackle wheel, we'll hit our pop-up dummy. And when we hit those bags, we hit it hard with authority. And if we're practicing the hop tackle, the low shoulder tackle, we're going to hit it hard. We're going to give a couple of rolls. We're going to end up on top of the bag. we're going to hit that thing with authority. And hopefully what that will do is it'll transfer into muscle memory when we play the game. I do not believe that you need to whack your kids around during practice. If anything, we want to be fresh for the game, and we want to be able to go full speed through the ball carrier. So we're gonna always stress that. And lastly, we want players playing with swagger. We want to play with an edge. We do not want nice kids. We want guys that are right on the edge when they play defense at all times. And we were like that this year. I mean, sometimes officials don't like that. They want you stopping before the whistle. They don't want to have to regulate anything afterwards. But we're going to play to the whistle. We're going to play with an edge. We're going to take every action that we can to make sure that when the play's ending, that our defensive players are on top of either a blocker or a ball carrier. We're going to make sure that we're trying to knock the play back. We're not going to give an inch as far as that goes. All right, as far as our scheme, we want to have the ability to play multiple fronts in our defense. Everybody knows that we're a 3-4 odd front. We're going to cover the nose the majority of the time, but we can play 4-3. We can play 4-4. We can play double eagle tough. We can play pretty much anything in our defensive scheme. Up front, we're a gap control defense. Every player has a gap. Every player has an assignment. So I was talking about earlier, as far as assignment football and doing your job. We want to know who's got each gap, and that's how we're going to control the run. We're going to adjust the run support by adjusting our coverage. So our coverages dictate our run support, whether we're going to play cloud support with our corners, whether we're going to play shoot support with our safeties, or when we play dog or ram support with our outside linebackers. And we're going to adjust that, because we don't want the offense being able to sit back and know exactly how we're going to support the outside run. We're going to adjust it as much as we can by adjusting our coverages, and that's how we think of our coverage as far as defending the run game, is how we execute our run supports. And this is an area of practice that we spend a lot of time with. It's an everyday 50-minute thing during preseason. It is then as needed during the season, where we work on our run support and the appropriate paths in attacking the football, anything that bounces to the outside. And then lastly, kind of tying into that, is we want perfect pursuit paths. We do not do pursuit drills. When I became a head coach at Bonny Eagle, we had done it when I was a college coach. We'd done it when I was a college player. We had done it when I was a high school player. And I started thinking about designing pursuit drills as a high school coach, and I never really found something that I liked. There was always things about it that I didn't like when I was coaching in college. And then thinking back to when I was a player, like doing pursuit drills just never felt like it was simulation of a run play. And so we don't do pursuit paths, but what we do is when we're running defensive team, we are coaching up pursuit, and we are coaching up not only the front side pursuit with everybody getting the ball, but we're also coaching up the backside pursuit and the proper what we call fold scheme, where we're playing counter, cutback, reverse. We're coaching up the proper backside alley with our safeties. We're coaching up the proper leverage with our backside corner, something we call save, which is designed to keep all 21 other men in front of them until the ball crosses the line of scrimmage, so we don't get hit on some sort of reverse or reverse pass. We want to coach up pursuit pass whenever possible in practice, and hopefully they transfer to the game. And I'll go through this quick. Pass game wise, which is more of what I'm going to cover tomorrow. We want multiple coverages with minimal teaching. We think that we can run our 4 2-deep based coverages with only really teaching 2 techniques to our corners and 2 techniques to our safeties. And so by doing it this way, the minimal teaching, minimal learning as far as technique, but multiple coverages that we can execute during the game. We're a zone first team. We will play man, but we always look to run our zone coverages first. We base there, and we're always going to try to do that first. We never, and you see my third bullet is we play what we want to play. If we want to play zone coverage, we're playing zone coverage. If we want to play man coverage, we're playing man coverage. As an offense, there is nothing you can do to get us to change that philosophy. If we want to run zone against you, we're running zone. If we want to run man against you, we're running man. We are not going to have checks or adjustments that change what we do or what we want to do on defense. We're going to play what we want to play, and we're going to figure out how to defend what the offense is doing with what we want to play, and not an adjustment. Sometimes when we are worried about our offense, we'll go into the game with a team that's played nothing but odd front defense, and all of a sudden against us, they're playing an even front defense. And there was one game a few years ago where the team was a traditional even front defense, and we saw them play up to our games odd front, but it was basically a 3-4 or 5-2, and they came in us and they're in a 3-3 stack. We are not going to change like that. We are going to play what we want to play, and you can't get us out of it as far as what you do on offense. And then lastly, this last bullet point is something I picked up late this winter. I think it was Navy that does this, and the Navy defense coordinator. We're going to start talking about this with our kids next year. Is on defense, we want to get 6, some combination of turnovers, sacks, and forced 3 and outs. If that can equal 6, your defense is really playing well. All right. Okay. As far as our fronts, we play 4 basic fronts. I'll show you how they tie in a little bit. We have some front adjustments that get us into different looks. What you see there, really, G, dig, and stack is what we are in base-wise when we want to adjust the front. We'll play a little bit of 60 in more short yardage situations, and just a tiny bit of tough. And then coverage-wise, so the first 4 bullets there are two deep coverages. We can play 2, we can play quarters, we can play quarter, half, we can play half, quarter. And then 3, robber, strong roll, man free. Those are more of our 1 safety defenses. Our straight man, our 0 coverage, and our man 2 deep is the last one. So we'll play all of those. All of those go in camp, and so we can play pretty much any of those when we want to. Obviously, game plan wise, we probably won't go into a game thinking we're going to do all of those, but we certainly have the ability to get in any of those coverages. All right, so here's our basic front. We call it field. That's just because our D there, we call the demon, will make his call to the field. If the ball's in the middle of the field, then he just goes to the passing strength, which our free safety will always will declare passing strength with a rip Liz call. So our demon will set the front. The demon, anchor, and stud will all travel together. On the backside, our ram, our tackle, and our will all travel together. So what you see when you play us is you see those guys, for the most part, will always flip together and work in conjunction with each other. That's because we want to develop, especially with our inside backers, a continuity with the defensive linemen that are in front of them. Because what you see right there in a picture, as far as our anchor tackle, which is the A, and our what we call just the tackle there with the T, is those guys will play differently in our scheme. So we're kind of a hybrid 3-4 in that respect, where our anchor is really more of a defensive end type. He's really more of a, he could transition to a 4-4 defensive end, which is what we'll do with the stack call to get in more 4-4 or 4-3 looks. So he is playing a shade that we call a 5 shade, which probably similar to what everybody does, but that he's going to line up with his inside foot splitting the crotch of the offensive tackle. So he is not going to be head up. The anchor will never play head up. He is going to play in what we call a crotch split, and even sometimes looser, especially if it's to an open end and the tight end isn't there. So that guy's going to play more like a true defensive end, and we want a type of guy there that is a more of an athlete than your typical defensive lineman. This is where we want to put maybe a converted linebacker, like the kid we have this year that you'll see on the tape that was wearing either 31 or 54. He thought he was going to be a Mike, or basically what we call our stud. He thought he was going to be a stud this year, and he just speed-wise, he wasn't really what we're looking for. I mean, you guys all know guys like that. You probably have them in your program, right? And you're going to convert them to defensive linemen. And it took some convincing, really, to make him think that he could be a good defensive lineman. And and end up having a great year for us. He's exactly the type of body type. He's thick. He's got a big ass. He's got strong lower body. He's not super strong upper body, but his lower body really, really carries him, and he's athletic enough to be able to play an edge. He's a basketball player. He's a baseball player. And he's not very good in those other sports, but that little athletic ability piece is what we're looking for in the anchor tackle. The tackle there on the right side, he's going to play what we call a heavy 5. So he is only shading feet outside feet. So you might look at us and say that tackle really is a head-up guy. In many respects, he is. He's going to play really thick on that tackle. And we do that because 7-man front there, you can't cover all 8 gaps. So we want that tackle to kind of play almost like a 2-gap. He's not quite a 2-gap player like our nose would be, but he's almost like it. And just by making him play a little thicker, we can cover a couple of gaps there that will help us defend the run. All right. And for that type of guy, we want a guy that's our biggest and strongest guy. Maybe not our biggest, but we want this guy to be our strongest guy that has a great squat, pretty strong upper body wise. We want a guy that really can hold his own there and not get driven off the line of scrimmage. And the guy that you'll see in there, number 67, is our strongest player on our team last year. And then our nose. So our nose is a true 2-gap player whenever we're in our base fronts. And so we try to teach him to muckle onto the center. We obviously want him to read the helmet of the center. We want him to play front side if he can. If he gets on the backside, that's okay. But we want him to be able to hold on, especially versus double teams, and not get driven off the line of scrimmage. And that's probably not any different than anybody that runs an odd front, right? That's what you're looking for in a nose. For type of player that we want a guy that has a little hip explosion. We want a guy that can knock the center back a little bit. If we don't have one of those, we're taking our biggest wide body, the biggest kid that we can find, and he's going to be our nose. So sometimes we'll have, like this year, obviously with Will Horton. I'm sure some of you guys remember him. Very, very good player. Has the little hip explosion and perfect for the nose position. But the year before, when Will was hurt, we played a kid that was 350 pounds. And he wasn't a very good player, but he's 350 pounds. And he didn't get knocked back off the ball. So if we can't find a hip explosion guy, we'll take our biggest guy and make him the nose. So we're not a 1990s John Wolfram, South Portland nose with Aaron Filio type that's speeding into the gap there. We want size there to be able to plug up the inside and not let offensive linemen off onto our backers. As far as the stud and the will, we want the stud to be our bigger, more physical guy. Since he always plays with the anchor, he will always be a B-gap player. And the guard has a much cleaner run at him than what we can do with our will. And so we need a guy that is our bigger guy, our more physical guy. He might not be as fast as the will, but that's the type of guy. A traditional Mike. I mean, we don't call him the Mike, we call him the stud. But that's the type of guy we want there. Our other linebacker, our will. Since we can drop our tackle down to a 3 shade, our will can play covered up a lot of the times. And so we want our athlete there. We want our guy that can get over the top on run 2 if we need him to, and beat the center if the center is getting double teamed, beat the center guard, whoever's coming off on him on the backside runs. And so we need our athlete there. We need our tackler there. This past year, number 23 was the perfect guy there. He's not very big, but he's fast, he's smart, he reads well, and he's a tackler. He gets to the ball somehow. And so that's what we want there. As far as our outside backers, our demon's got to be our dude. Like, that guy's got to be our dude. And because we're going to ask him to play on the line 7 shade, we're going to ask him to play in the apex between the tackle and the slot receiver. We're going to ask him to drop and cover. We're going to ask him to cover the flat. We're going to ask him to cover the curl. We're going to ask him to be a run support guy. We ask a lot of our demon. And so that guy, as we look at our personnel, we obviously got to have a guy with some size there. He doesn't have to be huge, but he's got to have a little bit of size. but he's got to do pretty much everything well. And when we're good, that guy, that's our demon. He's a player. And last year, number 6, Nate Farris, that's the type of guy that we want right there. Nate was a running back. For those of you guys that didn't see us play, he's a running back on offense. He's about 6'2", 295 pounds maybe, but smart and physical and fast. That guy's got to be a man for us. The other outside backer, our Ram, if we can get a guy like our demon, and we can get an athlete like that, that's what we want. But if we have to play with a bigger guy that can really just be a good C or D gap player, not get reached as far as when he gets blocked, provide us a little bit of pass rush, we can play with that type of guy. The more athletic he is, the more things we can do with our linebackers. All right. So that's our base front, kind of how we think of it as far as personnel wise. These are our run fits, and and I'm sure any of you guys that coach the 5-2 or the 3-4, that's really not any different. But this is what we're stressing, especially during camp. We start off with inside run. We do it every day. Defensive practice. We start off when we're just in helmets and it's almost walk through. Then we progress when we're in uppers. It goes a little bit full speed, and then when we're in full gear, now we can go full speed. We can get our reads. We can give our guys different looks and how they're fitting. And this is what we're talking about. This is what we're coaching up to be able to handle run. And you can see there how I've drawn the tackle, the T, when he gets run away. He's playing thick through that offensive tackle and squeezing down the line of scrimmage. All right. All our G front is sliding our nose to a 2-eye, inside shade of the guard, to the side of the demon. So the demon's going to set the front, and the nose will just slide that way, and the tackle will slide the same way, and as well as the Ram outside backer. So we end up basically in an under-style front when we call G. And so again, the demon, anchor, and stud all travel together. The will, the tackle, and the Ram all travel together. The gaps for the stud do not change, which is why we like him traveling with the anchor, because now he is still a B gap player. Now just on backside run, his gap is defined for him because the nose is a gap player. And so the will, in this case, we go G. Here's why we want an athletic will, is because we want, if the offense attacks outside the tackle box, we want the will scraping over the top of the Ram to the D gap. And so that's why we like a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic guy there at the will. And we can play with a lighter guy. I mean, 23, who played for us this year, he played at about 165, 170 pounds. He really isn't a big guy, but he's fast and he gets to the football. So we can play with a will like that because we can cover him up in our G-type defenses. The other thing I want to point out is you'll notice at the bottom of the screen on both these last two, our demon will play in the apex if he gets number 2 with width. And so when we tell him to play in the apex, it might be close to the tackle on rundowns. It might be closer to the slot on passing downs. We might, if the slot is fast and athletic, we might need him to play closer to the slot. So what we tell him in the apex is that if we're in a 2-deep coverage, we can't let the slot run down the seam and catch an easy pass. So as a demon, you've got to be able to read pass, and he'd read through the offensive tackle. You got to be able to read pass and be able to get to the seam jam in order to stop easy seam throws. And so whatever alignment you want to take, make sure that doesn't happen. After that, okay, now once you've eliminated that, come play run. And I'll hit more on that tomorrow when we talk about defending the pass. And there's our run fits. Our run fits in G really only change if you look in the top right with our will linebacker. Any run to him outside the A gap, he will get over the top to the D gap outside that Ram. I don't have a picture for dig. All dig is we are moving to G on the snap. So it's basically a slant with our front. But we chunk the information that we're teaching. So once we've taught G, we've also taught what we call dig, which is our slant to the field. And so our will linebacker, here's G, here's Dig, knows his reads and his gap responsibilities are identical. He doesn't have to worry about, which way is the D-line slanting. He knows when he hears Dig and hears G, it's the same thing. Run two, outside the A gap, get over the top. All right. When we say stack, in this picture, all stack does, it moves our anchor tackle now. You can see he is now aligned in a 6-eye. That's what we call inside shade of the tight end. And our demon is always off the ball in stack. So when we call G stack, essentially that gets us into a 4-3 type of a look. So we've gone from a 3-4 defense to a 4-3 with really nothing else changing. So as far as all our run fits and how we're defending the run, it is exactly the same. All right, our away package. So this can get us into more of a 4-4 type of look. So we can do this one of two ways. So the picture that you've got diagrammed here is our demon and ram disattaching from the defensive tackle that normally plays with them in field and the linebacker, inside backer that normally plays with them in field. And so we can coach this where our demon now will be on the side of our tackle and our will, and our ram is on the side of our stud and our anchor, or we can simply flip the demon and ram as well and play our demon over here where you see the R and our ram over here where you see the D. All right. If we do it like that, there is very little teaching. All that needs to be taught is demon makes a different call. Away would be making your call into the boundary or away from passing strength in the middle of the field. If we coach it like that, field and away, the only difference is the demon's front direction call. That's the only difference. Everybody else plays exactly the same. So we now can put another front together that has some very different features about it, but our learning is nothing new. All right. If you're going to teach this where the demon and ram stay field and boundary side, which again is ideal because now your disguises are better. The ram now has to be your drop guy. So the ram will become the drop guy. The demon now will become a rush guy. That is not how we do it in our field package. All right. You see in any type of away package, a strong safety is rolling up to be an overhang player to the field. So this is going to get us into our one safety defenses whenever we're in away. All right. And our run fits, nothing is new as far as what we taught them in field. So on Wednesday of camp, when we put in away, they're really not learning anything different. The tackle plays the same way. The anchor plays the same way. The stud and the will have the same guys in front of them. They play the same way. And so very little new teaching, but you're getting a front with some very different features about it. When we say away G, again, we're sliding the front. We're always sliding it to the call. So in the drawing right here, where the demon and ram are disattaching to their defensive tackle and their inside backer, the call would be right, and that means the nose will move to the right side. The tackle will come down to a 3 shade going towards the right. And so again, as far as those two guys right there, we can go almost our whole first week at camp, and they need to learn only a couple things. Because what we want them learning is how are you reacting to the 1,000 different blocking schemes that can be presented to you in the course of a football game. They do not have to worry about much getting aligned. Their alignments are pretty darn easy. All right. And as far as how we get into G, how we coach it, it's exactly like we did in our field front. We move the front, we slide the front to the call side. But again, the features of this are very different. Now we're in an over front rather than being an under front. And we, more of a 4-4 look with a single high safety. And our run fits, as far as this will linebacker right here, it's the same thing in away G as it is for field G. Any action outside the A gap, and he is scraping over the top to D gap. As far as the stud, any run action to him, he is still a B gap player on run 2, and he's an A gap player on run away. So as far as those guys and how they read things and where they fill for gaps, no new teaching. All right, when we say stack, that again simply means whoever the drop linebacker is, in this case it would be our ram, he drops. He gets off the ball. If we didn't call stack, he'd be playing on the ball. If we call stack, now he's off the ball. And again, so now again, it's more of a true 4-4 single high safety type of defense when we're in wage stack. No changes, no different changes for our run fits. All right. When we say tight, we're simply making the call to the tight end side. All right. And so now this again, more of a true under front. We don't play a lot of tight. We always put it in during the season in case we need it. The difficulty with this is we feel like you have to double digit your coverages. So we got to play one coverage when the demon, who's our drop linebacker now, we got to play one coverage when he's to the passing strength. And on the bottom diagram, he's away from the passing strength. We have to play a different coverage. So we want our two deep base coverage when the demon's to passing strength. We want our single high coverage when the demon is away from pass strength. So there's a little teaching there as far as the free safety's got to get us in the right coverage whenever we use tight front. And we'll never just call it tight. It's always tight G because we just don't run it enough to be able to want to run it without the G look. We want to be in a true under front. All right. As far as a run fits, no new teaching. We've already taught it. That stuff is already done. All right. So we can put in tight G. I can tell the demon pretty much to make any type of run side call, and we should be able to play it. And so, again, we limit the teaching, multiply the fronts. All right. Coverage-wise, we play cover 2, but what we want to look at here is this screen in our playbook in the middle row here where we talk about our run fits and our support fits. So when we're in cover 2, we're playing true cloud. Our field corner, if run 2, will be the support guy. Our safety is a pass first, so he's got to read step, get depth first, make sure it's not a pass, and then he's going to trigger and come down in the alley. Our demon is going to play outside shade, 7 shade on this tight end, but he knows he doesn't have to turn the run in. He wants to be thick on the running back. And if it bounces, fine. We have the field corner that's going to cloud it up. We got the strong safety running the alley. Our backside safety is what we call a back alley, and he's got to come down in here first, and he's looking for counter cutbacks and reverses. He cannot fly over the top. We want him settling right down in there. Again, in a 3-4 defense, you're a gap short up front, so you got to add in there with the safety. And so we're gonna add him in that back alley. He cannot cross the ball until he's 100% sure that it's not coming back out his side. And then lastly, our backside corner is what we call a save player. So when this corner is in save, he wants to keep all 21 other men in front of him, okay, until the ball crosses the line of scrimmage. Okay, so let's say the ball hits out this way, and it's a toss play, and it's being strung to the outside, right? And this guy, what he cannot do is race across the field and leave the whole backside unprotected. All right. He's got to keep all 21 other men in front of him. If he does that, he will not get burned on any type of reverses or any type of reverse pass. All right. That's what we call a save player. All right. And when we coach this in a defensive team, we got to get eyes on this. We have to get eyes on this. When we watch it on film, we get eyes on this. All right. And I think it's important when you practice this is that, what do coaches do, right, when you're running defensive team, right? Offensive scout team runs a play, and get to the ball, right? These guys got to know, and possibly the safety because he's a deep defender. If you're a deep defender or you're a backside defender, get to the ball doesn't mean you. What it means for you is you've got responsibilities to execute, right? So if, let's say get some sort of vertical release by number 1, the corner may sink out of there at first, but once he feels run his side, he's got to come support. But the safety has got to play the deep routes. He's the deep defender in cover 2. And so I don't want, if this guy takes off down the field in the vertical route, I don't want this safety getting to some scout team running back up here at the line of scrimmage. He should be pedaling and getting deep with that guy. I don't want this backside alley player to run across the field just because coaches are yelling, get to the ball, get to the ball, get to the ball. Same thing for this backside corner. Most of the time your starters are guys that they want to do what you're asking them to do. If you're asking them to get to the ball, this corner is going to be able to read the play because it's scout team guys, right? I mean, it's not very hard for a varsity corner to read that it's scout team run going away from him. And if you're yelling, get to the ball, and this is what you're going to ask this guy to do, he's going to be sprinting across the field. Like if you're coaching Zach Marturo, Jacob Humphrey, that's how they're going to play. So we always got to make sure that those guys know when I say get to the ball, it doesn't mean you. It might mean our defensive linemen. It might mean our inside backers. It might be all these play side guys. It does not mean our backside guys should sprint across the ball and not practice proper pursuit paths. Right. Quickly with our other coverages, and I want to get some film, so I'm going to go fairly quick. Again, this picture, we'll talk more about it when I talk about defending the pass. But here's what we would call strong inverts. When we say invert, we're basically bringing a safety up. We're taking a corner back. When we say strong invert, we're doing it to the strong safety side, which that would be the field side. So it puts us in quarter, half. When we say boundary invert, now we're playing half, quarter. So we can play both of those. All right. And then lastly, double invert. That means we're playing quarters across the board. Our safeties are up, our corners are back. This is what you're going to see mostly on the film, because when we play a run offensive team, we're going to be in quarters, or at least one side quarters, because we want those safeties up in the run game. All right. And so let me move this to our support page. So the difference in support here in this middle diagram is that when the strong safety is in invert, we turn the support over to our demon linebacker, and we would call it a dog support. And by the way, our corners are making the support call every rep on defense, and the guys that should hear it, corner should say it, safety should hear it, outside linebacker should hear it, inside linebacker should hear it. So 4 guys should know exactly how we're going to support the run to their side. And so we're going to turn it in with our demon now. So now he's got to play a little bit looser. And we're going to support inside alley with our strong safety, because he's going to be a little bit closer. He's going to be able to read number two blocks. He should be in the run fill immediately. All right. Our field corner is going to be our second support. So this will be the only time where we're trying to get 2 guys outside the football. Is when our corner will play pass first and then come up late with second support. Our backside safety is backside alley. So we've already taught him that. When we put in cover 2. All right, he does the same thing. Our backside corner is a save player. We've already taught him that. Okay, over here to the right side, when we're in quarters to the boundary side, we are going to support with our safety, because we want our ram outside backer playing physical. We don't want him being loose. We want him to wrong arm, off tackle runs. We want him to be physical in there. He might lose contain. We're going to support it with our safety and what we'd call shoot support. Our boundary corner is a second support, just like the field corner was on invert to his side. Our backside safety is the backside alley, and our outside backer. So when our outside backer is off the ball, we're going to call it fold. And all he's going to do is just slow play it, shuffle. He's looking for counter, cut back, reverse. And just like a minute ago when I was talking about what we do in defensive team, if we're going to run something like this away from our demon, I want to see him shuffle. Get to the ball, doesn't talk to him. I want him playing counters, cutbacks, reverses. If he's on the line of scrimmage, if ever outside backer is on the line of scrimmage, he's going to pursue through the heels of the offensive lineman. And again, playing counter, cutbacks, reverses, any type of zone reads, going to play that stuff first before he gets the ball. And our backside corner is our save player. All right. 3, I'm going to just fast forward that. Okay, and let's get to some film to our 1 safety defenses. Again, we are much more of a 2 safety defense. We're going to be in field the vast majority of the time. Okay, so first series of plays here are power game, counter game, hard downhill runs. I would say majority of spread teams, especially in Maine, are going to try to have some sort of a hard running component out of the shotgun. Obviously, the teams that we have to beat run it this way. We run it this way, and so we got to be able to defend hard downhill run. Okay, so what you're going to see again, mostly our field defense. We did not play much away last year. Our guys just really didn't They really didn't like it. They really didn't. They really weren't too excited about it. They never really got any good at it. So we stayed in field and field G and field G stack the vast majority of the time. 2 safety defenses, and quite honestly, that's what I would prefer. As you can see here in the box here with our 2 safeties, and they are in zone coverage. They are not in man coverage. They are in zone coverage. This is our double invert coverage, and so they are reading the second receiver in our number 2 receiver. That's what they're reading. And if they see a block, they're going to fill fast. If they see a pass, then they're going to execute their pass technique, pass responsibility. Our corners are an invert. And you can see Jacob here is he's kind of getting in how we want him to stand. Zach would try to always make everything look like cover 2. Be more experience there, 3-year starter at that spot. And so he's trying to make everything look like cover 2, what you're doing here. But he's an invert. He's a deep half player. Okay. And so Thornton's running power right here, base play for those guys. We got to be able to stop this play, just like Kevin was talking yesterday about them trying to find a way to run it. We got to find a way to stop it. And so the team that usually has more success doing that is going to have a lot of success, right? So notice that our anchor tackle is right here to the right. Our demon is number 6. Our stud backer is number 9. Our nose, that's pretty easy. Our tackle is number 67. Our will is number 23. Our ram is number 14. And we'll start off with our up front guys. And so what we need our anchor to be able to do, you see him, he's in a good alignment right there. He's going to take on that double, force that double team, to have to stay on him in order to be able to block him. He's doing a great job right here, turning into a double team. Really like what he's doing right here. Our nose got to do the same thing. He's getting double teamed as well. And so he's got to hang on. Our tackle's getting a cutoff block. And so we would grade that, what you see our tackle doing here. I'm going to let it run all the way through. We would grade that as a minus. He is basically taking the path that the Thornton tackle wants him to take. Like if you could ask this Thornton tackle, where does he want our guy to go? This is where he wants him to go. So we would call that the path of least resistance. And taking PLRs on our defense, that's a dirty word. And all you got to say to our kids, stop PLR. And they know exactly what you mean. All right? Our demon, we're in double invert, so he's got the support. So you see him take it on with his inside shoulder, try to be as physical as he can. Our stud linebacker, we want our stud getting over the top. All right? And again, you heard Kevin talk yesterday about how they got adjustments where they'll come back and run it inside. Yep, definitely. But I think, in my opinion, the C gap is the toughest gap to defend. It is the toughest gap to defend. If you can't defend C gap against us, we're going to run our gap schemes, and you're not going to be able to stop them, and we're going to run for about 300-plus yards. And it's going to be the same way with Thornton Academy, and the same way with Scarborough, and really any other good offensive football team. They're going to run in the C gap. And so we want our linebacker has got to get over the top there. You see him, pretty good job by number 9. Our backside linebacker, he's got to be able to beat that double team. And we got an athletic kid there that attacks, gets himself in on the football play. Our ram linebacker, he's going to squeeze down. TA was in a unbalanced set, so he knows there isn't much coming back the other way, so he can kind of turn it loose, and he almost gets in on the play. And lastly, this safety right here, he is not in man-to-man coverage. It might look that from our pre-snap alignment. He is in zone coverage. He is reading that tight end, and when that tight end blocks, he is going to fit inside the demon linebacker as soon as he can. We got a pretty good guy right there. I mean, he's got to come take on a guard, right? That's a 185-pound strong safety taking on, I don't know, probably a 220-pound guard right there. And so he's got to be physical, but we want him stepping up. And because of the unbalance, you see our free safety is going to run and match that jet sweep action. And then lastly, you see our backside corner. Slow down, hump. I want him even slower than this. He does not have to get in it right there, because if that thing's coming out, it's coming out the backside. And so slow down onto the save play. Okay. Here's another real quick boundary side. And so I'm not going to go soup to nuts like I did with that first one. I think everybody gets the idea here. But I just want to show you our free safety in what we would call shoot support and our ram linebacker squeezing that thing. So our ram linebacker, in this case right here with shoot support, he is going to be thick through there. He's going to wrong arm it. You see him spill it. He's doing an awesome job. The kid's blocking him is about 240. Number 14 is about 185. And so that's a great job by our ram linebacker and a great job by our safety. Our safety is in zone coverage right here. He's in invert coverage. He's reading that tight end down block, and there he comes to support. Makes a great tackle down on the thigh boards. One last power. Let's get through this one. Let's get to counter. Okay, really how we defend counter gap is really not any different. Watch that from the end zone. Similar looking play with Thornton trying to give us a little jet sweep action. So you see on this one, you see Nate, our demon linebacker, he is supposed to take this on with the right shoulder, the not wrong arm it, I should say. It would be left shoulder as he's playing it. He had a little bit of a shoulder issue, which is why you see him kind of spill that thing. All right, you watch our anchor tackle does a great job right here, recognizing no double team, squeezing. Like to see him stay a little bit more outside because that ball, if it hits, if it breaks through there, it's coming back out to him. Okay, it's a different read for our stud linebacker right here. So that's true open. So he's going to fill it. Our nose still getting double teamed. He's got to spin into it. Does a great job holding on. Because 23 is so fast, he forces a double team on our nose to come apart. And now our nose, because he's big and physical, a good player, can get back in on the play. You'll see our safety here, zone coverage. So now what's the tight end doing? Giving him more of a release move, right? Even though he's not pass, but it is kind of a release move. So our free safety is not filling, but the difference now is that tight end can't come down and block a linebacker. So now our linebackers have a better chance to come make a play. Okay, here's counter again. Let's take that from the end zone. So our ram linebacker right here, he has the ability to come and squeeze it, which he kind of hops inside, makes the guard miss, which is fine. I'm not going to tell him he can't do that. Like you see him, that's pretty wide, right? I mean, but Skyborough's fast. I guess some guys can get outside, right? So we want him to loosen up. He definitely doesn't look like a traditional defensive end, playing more like an outside linebacker. But right in there, good. And you see our safety right here in shoot support. Now he's up on the play. Here's why we want a guy who's fast right here, just has an instinct for the ball. If we can find a guy that can do this right here, this is not really probably how I would like it, because if this guard comes off, we lose a guy to the ball. But 23 is pretty quick to the football. Okay, so here's outside zone. Here's the play I was talking about earlier when I started talking about 14 making a mistake and everybody else know and realize, okay, just one thing was wrong. And so we don't need to go all crazy on this. Another reason why huddle sideline or whatever you use for a replay system is good stuff, because as coaches, we can see this too, right? We can see what happens. And we don't need to go freaking out, change our defense all around because we gave a big play. So 14 right here, based on his size, being a 185-pound guy, Thorne's tight end being about 6'5" to, I don't know, 25, 30 or so. 14 gives up a lot of size right here. He is too tight. And so just the simple reach block forces him to have to deal with this way too difficult. I mean, you're just not going to have success as a size mismatch. So he gets knocked off the ball. We're in double invert right here. You see our safety come on this. He's coming like he's supposed to, but because 14 gets pushed too far wide, 15, our support guy gets pushed too far wide, and the quarterback makes a cut up inside, and now he's out the gate. And so this is what we have to correct. And 14 comes off the sideline. It's me. So let me show you the same play later in the game, third quarter, 3rd and 4. Thorne's got it on our 26. Pretty big play in the game, honestly. You see 14, we've adjusted his alignment a little bit further wide. Now he takes this thing on, more flush. All right, he's a good shoulder pad position, and now he can hold on this reach block. He almost turns it into a fan block by this tight end, and now that allows. Here comes our safety, has a much cleaner path than on that touchdown run, and so we defend this way better than the first time. The thing I don't like about this is that if I stop it right here, right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys outside the football. This is something we fight hard. We coach our asses off to try to not let this happen, because this is how you give up big plays. Right? The only 2 guys outside the football should be our safety and our corner. These 3 guys right here should be inside leverage. They should be pursuing inside out on the ball. And you see that ends up being this little tiny little path that the quarterback can get into. And what it looks like at the beginning of the play, like how is this play getting any yards? Right? And the quarterback, a good player for Thornton, managed to squeak in there and get a couple yards because we are outside the football, not where we want to be. Right? So we coach that up in our inside run. We coach that up in our perimeter run drills during practice. Okay, zone stretch type plays. Let's walk this from the end zone. So just a simple 2-back zone stretch. Obviously, Skyborough's got a dude right there that they're going to hand the ball off onto. So we were actually against these guys moved our safety up into the box and shifted into a 1 safety defense. So this means I would rather have our ram end right here, our ram linebacker, be way more thick onto that tackle, even if the tackle gets a little bit of a reach on him, because here's our support player. And our support players are doing a good job attacking that blocker and able to fold back inside, get down on Flaker's legs and making the tackle. What we do good here is our safety, who when he's in a 1 safety is going to be an alley player. And you see Alex, number 8, starts to get outside the ball. He slows down and gets himself back in the alley and gets in on the football play. Okay, here's another example of outside run, rocket toss. Again, this guy that they're flipping it to, everybody knows. I mean, he's pretty darn good. So we need to take special care playing these guys. We're in cover 2 right here. So it's 3rd and 7. We're in cover 2. We're thinking it might be pass. And so our corner is our support guy. And so he's a cloud support player, and you get run right now outside at you. You've got to get off that block right now. You see him, he kind of swim moves it there, uses his feet. So he can support that run. 6 here, our demon. So he can play this thing thicker. Obviously, he's got to deal with this this fullback blocking him, and he knows Flaker prefers to run outside, and so. But watch him how he kind of is more physical. He slows down. It's okay if he makes this thing bubble. So what we tell this guy is attack attack as the back is attacking you. And if the ball carrier bubbles and bounces this thing, that's okay. We're going to chase this thing down in pursuit before you can get back to the line. Okay, so this safety's in cover 2. I would like him maybe to read step a little bit longer, but again, you know, when 2 is on the field, he forces guys to do some different things. But what I really like at the end is, if I stop it right here, is that our safety is back in the alley. He does not run and gets outside of Maturo here, who's forcing it inside. He's going to fit right in here. So we've got Maturo on the outside. We've got Alex number 8 on the inside. And then we've got our pursuit chasing this thing down. And so even these guys chasing it down. So you watch 14, you watch 54 right here. See him slow it down. Like, we do not want to get outside the football. Zach Maturo, he's the Gatorade Player of the Year. He'll turn it back in for us. Don't get outside of him. And so we've got to talk about that all the time when we defend the run in practice. Is how we going to do that? Okay, if you get your safeties reading the right things, and our safeties are reading right now. So we're having Alex right here, our strong safety. He's reading the tight end. He starts to come down here right now. If this happened to be power, he's right in the middle of the play. Someone's going to crack on him. So it's really going to be hard for him to make a play on here. But because they're going unbalanced, we're going to roll this safety over the top. We told him to read this blocking back. He sees us a run and is able to come make the play. A pretty nice play by our free safety. All right, so let me go ahead, skip a couple of these here. Get to the zone read stuff. Oh, this is a good one to watch too. So speed option. So one of the plays we got to defend, Skyborough's pretty good at running this, is just flat out zone speed option. And so what we want to do is we want to, everybody's got to play their gaps. So if we watch this from the end zone, we need all these guys up front playing their gaps, not getting reached. And then all we'll do is kind of force the quarterback back into the hole, and we can rally the football. So we were in cover 2 on this one. So you see Nate starts to come as the demon, but he realizes this is not really where we want him, and so he fights back outside. And even though we're in cloud support, we're trying to make sure that that we're not letting Flaker have any opportunity here at all. But 54 right here has got to keep his leverage, which he does to the very minute. 9's got to keep his B gap leverage, which he does. 75's got to he's got to make sure he takes care of A gap, which he does. 23 is going to be this backside A gap. He gets kind of over the top at the end, so that's what we're trying to coach him on that. But the other 3 guys really good at taking this away. But we got a corner on pitch. We've got our demon linebacker kind of playing pitch as well against these guys, and then we just play gap responsibility, and that forces the quarterback back inside where we can make a play. All right, so let's talk about some of these read plays. Obviously, when you're defending shotgun runs, you got to worry about that. So in our base way of doing it, we're just going to scrape exchange. It's really not anything earth-shattering. And so you can kind of see that there. And so we're going to have our D tackle, our anchor tackle right here. Whenever he gets what we would call a veer release, inside him, not blocking him, is what we call a veer release. He is going to start to bend and spill. And if he recognizes that we're in a zone read situation, which he should have pre-snap, he is going to take the innermost back, which in this case is the tailback. All right. And he's going to try to go frontal across him and make sure he secures the tackle. Our stud linebacker here, if it's a zone read situation, when he sees this and the hole, his gap, his B gap now is colored, he is going to get over the top. All right. We got our demon playing in the apex here that can kind of play both QB and any potential RPO out here. And we're in cover 2, so we're not getting any safety help on this one either. And you see our anchor tackle, like to see him get a little bit more hands on him. You know, if I maybe if you're Thorn Academy, you would rather see the handoff right here. I know we would. But the Thorn Academy quarterback pulls. Our stud linebacker is over the top on a scrape exchange, able to make the play on the quarterback, and we get the strip and a pretty big fumble recovery. These guys here over on the left, they're playing zone all the way. So if you watch number 23 right here, he's worrying about zone. You watch 14, he's worried about zone. And so our guys on our defensive left side are all worried about the zone read, the zone play, the run, zone run by the running back. And then we're going to scrape exchange with our stud linebacker. We're going to let our demon kind of be our extra man and a half to help out there if we get a RPO, and then also help on the quarterback. So here from the end zone. Pretty good play by number 9, sophomore linebacker. Good lineage here. Last name's Klein. Many of you guys know Eric Klein, principal at Yarmouth High School, used to be head coach at Scarborough. So that's his younger son. Be good having him for another couple years. Okay, so here's pretty much the same play. Difference here is we're in invert coverage, so our safety can activate right now to the run game. Our demon can squeeze this too because there's no number 2 with width. And you see our strong safety is making this play. So our stud is trying to get there, but they got what we call a slam block going on with their H-back. And so that's going to make it really hard for the stud linebacker to scrape exchange, but we're going to replace that with our strong safety. So our strong safety is watching that guy. So our strong safety is reading this guy. And when he folds inside, he'll add in the run game and come up and make a play. And everybody here on the left side is playing the zone play. In invert, right? As soon as he sees that H-back go inside, now he's going to add to the run game. You know, if they wanted to take this H and block out or run him down the field, he wouldn't be in the run game because he's now got pass responsibilities. But what that's going to do is it's going to free up our linebacker, like you saw in the very first example. Our stud linebacker, that's going to be tough for him. He's getting blocked right away, and he's getting a slam block on him. But we add to the run game with our safety because he's in quarters coverage. So I said we do no pursuit drills. We don't tackle bodies. I don't think it's just not needed. Those drills aren't needed. You're better off spending your time learning how to defend these runs right here. You know, our guys are getting after it. You know, we got a lot of guys to the ball right here. We have no problem pursuing the football. We have no problem with our tackling because we don't go heavy on that stuff in practice. I'm not sure you need to.
Hey, Coach, when you guys are in your team period, what do you do with the ball carrier? Like, does he get wrapped up, or does he keep running and guys pursue that way? How do you coach that up?
I don't think you can ask defenders on the run side play to not try to get to the ball and tackle them, because you know if they stop in any way, if they just give an arm or something like that, you're obviously going to be hollering at them, right? So you got to let them wrap it up as much as possible, and then try to give as many guys to the ball get the ball as possible. We're not going to take the ball carrier down. He's going to stay on his feet. So as soon as someone goes down, as soon as someone loses their feet in any type of team period, I'm yelling. Even if it's an accident, even if someone trips by accident, we are yelling as coaches, stay on your feet. So we want to wrap up the ball carrier. We do not want to go to the ground. We want our guys as healthy as possible come game time.
What about in your 7v7 period? Like I know sometimes we play tag on that guy, and you have to tag the near hip so those DBs can work on.
Yeah, definitely in sevens. Definitely in sevens. Much more tag in that type of two-hand touch, maybe in that type of stuff. That's obviously where collisions can definitely happen, right? And so I think in that situation, you want to play tag, play hit the near hip or two-hand touch, or whatever it is, or just break down in front of the ball, one or the other. But you don't need collisions. You don't need collisions like that in practice. Okay, so here's his own read and the throw off it. So what we're coaching here is we want a 3-man net. All right, we want a guy outside. We want a guy over the top of the ball. We want a guy inside. And so you see in this particular case, we're in our invert coverage. Zach never gets out of his disguise. You see him kind of cushioning out of there, right? But then he realizes that a quick screen's coming. He's going to be outside. Alex, our safety, is going to be right over the top. And we would like our inside backer, so he misses the scrape. Well, he's starting to go the scrape read. But because we're playing with our outside linebacker there, our outside linebacker would be like an extra man on the queue and an inside leverage on any type of screens. And so we're coaching on this, a 3-man net on the ball. And once we have them netted up, someone can then go make the tackle. And that's something that you gotta constantly coach during the season. It's not the first instinct that players will have. They'll just want to run to the ball. And so we've got to coach up 3-man net, 3-man net, 3-man net, and eventually we get it. So you probably look at us early in the year, and we're not looking that good on that type of screen. But at the end of the year, now we're making better plays. All right. Okay, so different type of run right here. So any type of power read where you've got a read game going on the front side, you've got a potential for a hard downhill run on the back side. So in this case, we would call this power read. You can see this defensive tackle has come down inside like they're running gap power. They're pulling the guard around like gap power, and they're reading our anchor tackle. And so anytime our anchor tackle right here gets a veer release, his job is to take the innermost back. And so what he has to understand in any type of power read, the innermost back is now the quarterback. And so he should go to the quarterback. And you see him there. He starts to go to the queue. He realizes it's a handoff. And he redirects. But his responsibility is the quarterback. Okay. Our outside linebacker right here, he is going to be he's in dog support. So he's a support guy. He's going to attack this with outside leverage and try to make sure he pulls up the jet sweep action, which he does a good job of. And then our strong safety, he's in invert coverage. He's reading that slot. He sees the block, and now he gets downhill in the run game. And so he's got a tough job right here because he's got to take on that back who's leading on him. I would rather see our strong safety attack this on the outside rather than on the inside because we've got guys coming. Our stud linebacker is almost there. Our backside safety now has cleared the backside alley. He's coming. So if you watch our safety on this, see him end up inside, and that just gives a little bit of action open for the jet sweep guy. Fortunately, our demon, like I said, he's a dude. And he's able to play off this block by the slot. He's able to turn the running back in. He's able to get to his outside arm where he's holding the football and get the strip. And obviously this was a major play in the fourth quarter of this game. So you see 6, great job right here. I like outside backers to stand with their outside foot first up. And so they step with their inside foot first. And so what you see, number 6 here, he'll step with his inside foot, but then he can adjust with his outside foot to maintain leverage. And he does a great job with his hands, maintaining outside leverage. You kind of see it before the camera doesn't quite follow the action. On number 8, our safety, I would like to see him outside this running back. If he could. We're lucky 6, a great player. Okay, same type of play right here. So our anchor tackle right here, he's told the veer release. He's got the innermost back. Okay, our demon linebacker, our stud linebacker, and our strong safety, these guys are playing the jet sweep. Everybody here on our left side is playing the play back to their side in case the quarterback comes back. Okay, so right now, here's our anchor tackle. He's ending up inside. The inside runner is the quarterback. The outside runner is the jet sweep guy. Again, our demon. So you see the footwork that I like right here. See him standing with his outside foot up. So he steps first with his inside foot, can adjust to the block to maintain leverage with his outside foot. And he maintains his outside leverage, turn that running back inside. And so again, our safety, kind of the same thing as the previous play, kind of gets hit by this back. It's a tough one for this safety. I mean, he's got a physical guy coming right at him. But I like to see him outside because you see the backside safety. He's clearing his backside alley. And so I would like the strong safety right here. This free safety is really clearing his backside alley too soon. I'd like him more right in here. Again, our demon. Playing like a man. Okay, here's a similar play. We call it counter read. So it's counter blocking to the backside rather than power blocking. So you see they're pulling guard and tackle right here. This is the same read for our anchor tackle. He's not getting blocked. He takes the innermost back, which in this case, in the stretch read or jet read is going to be the quarterback. We're in invert coverage. Our demon linebacker has a support. He's going to play outside leverage. Again, you see the same footwork that we want. His outside foot is his second step, so he can maintain leverage. And our safety's coming right downhill. And you see, this is our first game against Thornton, and they cleaned up their back's responsibility and see in the state game, because now if you don't send that back right through the hole, you can see our strong safety is making a pretty big play, tackle for loss. All right. So again, our strong safety right here, he's going to read this slot back, and if the slot back blocks, he fills. That's our strong safety in the zone coverage, making a 5-yard tackle for loss. Okay, similar play here. And so here the quarterback's going to decide to pull this ball. You see our anchor tackle is now, he's on the quarterback where he should be. Well, I put this on here to show what the other side is doing. So the left side of our defense has got to play the counter play. And we're going to play our ram outside backer. He's going to spill, which he does. He gets underneath that guard block. And we're going to play our safety, our free safety right here, and shoot support. He's going to get down. He's going to be the support player. We've got our backside linebacker right here. He's playing the counter play. He gets over the top to the C gap. And he's there too. And so what we would coach our anchor tackle here is, there's got to be a time where you kind of slow it down. You got to slow it down right here. We've got support all set. The only way that this quarterback is going to get yards is if he can cut back behind you. So you got to be a cutback player here. Okay, wildcat play. You can see the value of our safeties, and we'll go from the end zone here. what I really liked about this one is our free safety playing backside alley. So our free safety is right here, number 15. And there goes the jet action. See him? He's not flying right now. And he's going to fit right in right there, playing backside alley off these linebackers. And so if this should come right in here, so you see our will linebacker has attacked this thing. If this ball should come right in here, our free safety's playing backside alley. Again, this is double invert coverage. And so this is where we want our safeties. And you see 23, he takes off, attacks his A gap, but our 15, our free safety, is right there to make a backside alley play. He gets in on the play. What I wouldn't like about this play is you see Matero here on this side, number 7, like right at that point, he is not in a good place. So you can see this where he is right here. He is getting too far inside. Like if this thing is going to break, it's going to break outside of him, and we don't want to let that happen. And the other thing I would say look at our backside corner. Like Jacob here, slow down. Once he gets in a position where there are some Scarborough guys outside of him, it's not where we want him. Like he doesn't need to be in there. Okay, so a similar play again with a jet sweep action. Our guys out here playing the jet sweep. Our guys here playing the counter play. You see 14, he has already tried to escape inside. And again, this is not how we would coach it per se, but when you got 5'9", 185-pound kid going against a 6'5", 230-pound kid, you got to let him have some ability to be an athlete. He just gets to where we want him, which we want him squeezing. Our free safety 15, he's coming up in to shoot support down to the boundary. So he's in pretty good position. The guy we would correct is our tackle. So 67 right here, he is not thick enough. He is not getting inside enough. Right, with this type of action, this type of veer release, trap action, he should be underneath this. So you see, maybe we'll watch it from the end zone. 23 is going to scrape where he's supposed to be. 14 is going to get to where he's supposed to be. 15 is where he's supposed to be. 67 right here is too wide. And so here's one where everybody's in the right spot except 67, our D tackle. So if we feel 23 is in the right spot, 14 is in the right spot, 15 is in the right spot, 67 is actually outside of our linebacker. He's got to be in here. And TA's quarterback, good player, gets back into that hole for like a 6-yard gain. If 67 does the job, we're gonna be okay. Okay, trick plays, reverses. Okay, if you're gonna give us some indicators like guards pulling, we gotta be able to see it. And so you see our stud linebacker. First of all, Scarborough's in an empty set, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna change our alignments with our linebackers. There is no need to be in here outside shade of the guard based on how they're aligning right now. So we're gonna get a little bit wider. Their keys and their run can still be the guards. And so you're going to see our stud linebacker here is going to read this guard. And he's just going to come make hell of a football play. We're in cover 2 right here. Right? So Jacob, our corner, once he recognizes coming back, he's got to get off this block any way that he can. And he's going to come up outside and be our support guy. I would like to see our safety, see how he ends up. outside the football. So that's what we would coach him on. Look, we don't do any pursuit drills. If you coach a during D team, it's not a problem. Like, look, there are green winged helmets to the ball. Like, you don't need pursuit drills. Like, spend time teaching technique. Spend time teaching the defense how it's supposed to be run. You don't need pursuit drills. You don't need to hit bodies. You don't need to hit bodies when you tackle. Like, we're not having a problem tackling. One more thing on this we coach, and I'll wind it up right here, is that another thing we coach. See these guys down here, the bottom of the screen? They better be getting excited, right? They better be jumping. They better be going crazy. These types of plays need to be celebrated as a defense. Like, so I talked about playing on edge, right? Playing with a little swagger, right? This is a monumental play. It's a sophomore inside backer tackling a Fitzpatrick Trophy finalist on a reverse play that if you watch Scarborough tape, he's probably scored on this about 7 or 8 times, right? And our sophomore linebacker tackles him. We better be getting excited, right? We had a scrimmage last year against a mass team called King Philip that was up here in Maine at a camp, and it was one of the things that we noticed was that their sidelines were celebrating every big hit. We ran zone read against them, and we gained about 11 yards. Our quarterback pulled it, made a great read, got about 11 yards, and their backside linebacker came and whacked our quarterback. And their sidelines went ballistic, right, cheering this thing. And so we learned from that we need to be the same way. We need to celebrate those plays. There ought to be getting some people around that guy that just made that play. Sideline ought to be getting crazy. We coach that up when we watch film all the time. All right. I'll cut it off there. Any questions, Hath? Any guys spit them at me if you got any questions. I know I went a long time, so that's probably good enough for today.
Coach. I agree on the swagger, man. Got to have it both sides of the ball. If somebody gets in the end zone, you got to be the first one to meet him, right?
Yeah, and we do. We coach that on offense too. Like, it's pretty typical. You see that, you're coming out of camp, guys are tired, right? You're in your exhibition game, and you make a long play, and you see linemen. They'll watch your running back. He's way down the field, 50 yards in front. He's going to score a touchdown, and everybody that's not scoring a touchdown will be turning and coming to the sidelines, right? Because they're tired. But we're coaching that up right away. There better be a celebration on end zones when we score. There better be celebrations when we make a big play on defense.
We had a kid this year who, Cam Jordan for us was a pretty good player. Cam had to come out for a play, and his replacement went in. And Cam was getting something taped up, or he had blood or something, and his replacement scored a touchdown on that next play. And Cam ran off the sidelines, and he was the first guy to hit him in the end zone. So you gotta love stuff like that, man.
It transcends the team. Once you get that started, it carries over. And we'll laugh about it when we're watching film, because we have a couple of JV players that would just be going crazy behind everybody else. But that's the type of stuff that we want to promote with our team.
Right. Anybody got any questions out there for Coach? I'm going to stop the recording here in a second, but if you guys want to come on and turn on your cameras or your mics and get some questions in, go ahead.